Hello and welcome. This is Josh Z Boxing. I hope you guys are all doing well. Please like, share and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. So today, let's talk about Canelo versus Terrence Crawford. Now, I already know I'm a bit late to the party. This was released a couple of days ago. However, because it's such a big story, we've got to talk about it. Now, the Ring magazine released a report a couple of days ago, and it said this. It said a source had advised the Ring that September's Riyadh season card featuring the blockbuster fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford will become the first boxing event to take place at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Now, early doors, I'm excited by it. However, having read that opening paragraph, there's a few things that come to mind and a few questions that come to mind off the back of it. The first thing is, I thought that Riyadh season cards are now going to be taking place only in Saudi Arabia. That was a rumor that went around a couple of months ago. However, clearly that's not the case. We're going to be seeing this fight in September between Canelo and Terrence Crawford. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a case in which only the big fights, those blockbuster fights, will be on a Riyadh season card, and all other fights, if they're taking place outside of Saudi Arabia, are going to be via the Ring magazine. I wouldn't be surprised if, again, we see the majority of fights now under the Riyadh season banner only in Saudi Arabia. So it'll be very different from last year, where we saw the Riyadh season go on the road, for example, and go into different locations around the world. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that it is taking place at the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. Now, I'm really happy to see that. This is a huge fight. There's no doubt about it. It's a huge fight, and a huge fight like this requires a huge stadium. Now, if anyone doesn't know about the Allegiant Stadium, isn't aware of it, this is the stadium which opened in 2020, and it's the home to the Las Vegas Raiders, who are an NFL team. And the capacity is 65,000, and it can actually even expand to 71,000. Now, I'm not surprised that they're going to be putting it there, because a big fight requires a big stadium. And come September, I wouldn't be surprised that this fight being the hottest ticket in town between Alvarez and Crawford. So that's the second thing that I saw that I thought was really interesting. Now, lastly, I thought to myself, well, I know Alvarez fights 2 dates a year without fail. September, May, September, May, September, May. Now, we're in February at the moment. So the next date, technically speaking, in my head, that I would usually see Canelo fighting is in May. Now, there's not been anything that I know of as of now that alludes to the point that he's going to be fighting in May. Now, it could be a case that Turkey's spoken to both of them and said, look, I don't want you fighting in May, or I don't want you fighting before September, because of the possibility of having injuries. Now, we know how easy injuries are to get. If they go into a fight and they come out with, an injured hand or shoulder, these things have always happened in boxing, and that can jeopardize the September date. And if that happens, obviously there's going to be a lot of unhappy people around. So it wouldn't be surprising if we see them sit it out, to be honest with you, and they come back and they fight each other in September later this year. Now, if it's a case where Canelo decides that he is going to fight in May, that's going to be interesting to see who he's going to face. In my opinion, I think that he would probably be focused on keeping the IBF belt, because he has a mandatory associated with that. So I wouldn't be surprised if I see him face someone like William Skull in May, which should be an easier fight to take, and then stay as undisputed ahead of that September clash with Terrence Crawford. I've also heard rumours as well, again, about Jake Paul facing Canelo. I think, as the young people say, I think that's cap. I don't think that's actually going to happen as of right now. Although I do think Canelo will get in the ring with Jake Paul at some time, because it's a huge cash fight rather than a big name. But in general, I don't see them fighting until September, and if they do fight, I can see someone like Canelo fighting a William Skull in May, just to make sure he keeps that IBF belt and stays undisputed. Right, let's go into the nitty gritty in terms of my early thoughts around it. As I said before, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear and to see and to know Canelo's going to be facing Terrence Crawford in September. I mean, if you think about it, this is Terrence, who's a pound for pound. You can put him anywhere between 1 and 3. I have Terrence, I've got Usyk, then Inoue in my rankings. You can have him anywhere between the first 3, and then Canelo, who can easily sit anywhere between 6 and 8. So these are pound for pound kings facing each other, and that already has some intrigue, and that will create some intrigue in that sense. However, although I say all of that, and maybe I'm kind of, this is most probably kind of going against what I've just said just before in terms of my intrigue, I think although they're pound for pounders, I just can't see how Terrence deals with Canelo's size. If you think about it, Terrence is a guy that started at 135 and came up to 140, fought at 147, and he's fought at 154. Right? He faced Majimov in his last fight. He won, but it wasn't as easy as, and it was never going to be easy. But it was a close fight. It was a close fight. But I thought Terrence done enough to win that fight. So that's the highest he's fought at. Canelo's a natural 168 pounder. And he's even fought guys who are bigger than him. If you think about guys like Callum Smith, for example, who's bigger than him, right? Canelo's faced him and he's beaten him. So I can't see how, in that sense, Terrence comes up 2 weight divisions and faces someone like Canelo and beats him. I think it's a bit hard for me to comprehend that right now. Maybe closer to the fight, maybe from the time of the weigh-in, I might change my mind, but I can't comprehend that right now. So that's one of the reasons why I think Terrence won't beat Canelo. And the other thing as well, I think if you look skill for skill, don't get me wrong, Terrence is a highly skilled fighter. I put him as number 1 pound for pound, there's no doubt. But let's not be fooled. Canelo's not far away in terms of skill for skill wise. If you look at his record and you see who he's faced, like his record is he's fought every style of fighter. Literally, you could go through his record, come forward fighters, guys that move around, technical, for like every single type of fighter, he's fought them. You know what I mean? And he's won most of them. And if you look at those styles that he's had experience of, the likes of Mayweather, the likes of Golovkin, Caleb Plant, Danny Jacobs, we can think of Miguel Cotto, for example, Erizandi Lara. I mean, the list can go on and on and on of the different styles that he's faced. And he's beaten most of those people that I've just named. So skill-wise, yeah, Terrence, I would say, probably is more skillful than Canelo, one could argue. But Canelo's not far away in the skill department. He really isn't that far away. So when I think about skill for skill wise, when I think about size wise, at the moment, it's really difficult for me to comprehend how Terrence will win that fight. However, if he does win that fight, my oh my, Terrence Crawford, take a bow. I mean, there's no question, there's no doubt about it. Like, that would be huge. Like, I can't describe how huge that would be for a guy coming up from 135, has come up all the way to 168 to a division with huge guys. I mean, they're much bigger than Terrence, and he goes in there and he beats Terrence. I mean, he beats Canelo. I mean, that would be absolutely fascinating. I'm going to end it there, guys. I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about the Canelo-Terrence fight? Are you happy it's happening? Or are you like some people who are not really interested in the fight? What do you think about it being taking place in the stadium, the Allegiant Arena Stadium? Or I might have got that wrong. Let me get the name of it again, just so I get the right name. The Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. Do you think it's worthy of a fight in that location, or do you think it's one of those things where it should be at maybe the T-Mobile Arena or the MGM Arena in that sense? And just in general, what's your initial thoughts around Canelo and Terrence facing each other? Who do you think wins early doors? your thoughts would be great and appreciated. Please pop them in the comments. One of the things that I love to do, I love to respond to people in the comments. So thank you very much for those people who are writing comments. And I will answer those comments because I love to get involved, and I love to speak to you guys and kind of get your thoughts on it in that sense. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I hope you guys like, share and subscribe, as I said before, if you haven't done so already. And as always, peace.